Ask adults about their childhood memories of play, and you will hear a variety of stories. Listen even more closely, and you will hear similarities in their memories. Words such as freedom, discovery, fantasy, and imagination are all used to describe these moments of long ago.
I think about play with my siblings, and I think about words like freedom comes up, and just it was just almost bigger than life.
For you see, children's play holds special meaning for each of us. It transcends borders, economic backgrounds, and generations. These valuable memories stay with us until adulthood and are in fact foundational to whom we become.
Play to me is a time when you can explore the possibilities and pretend, taking on different roles, different people you admire, and really a time of exploration of who you are inside.
One of the things I remember is spreading this blanket out on the living room floor, and that was a boat. And I would build things on the blanket, and that would be a boat, and I would have to sail through the seven seas or the rough waves or those kinds of things, and it would be this journey from the boat, and that would allow me to explore and engage different environments and be creative and think of different things as the boat was exploring, and needing different things on the boat and different things having varied purposes as we went along on this trip.
I think of play as sort of organic to living, and if you just confine it to times where it's structured or you plan it, it loses some of its spontaneity and the ability to sort of build it into everything you do. So I don't think of it that way. I think of it as something that you try to create fun moments wherever you are.
In this DVD, we introduce you to the value of play. We explore its place in the healthy development and well-being of children. You will hear from individuals with unique insights into how parents and other adults, such as pediatricians, hold both the power and responsibility to promote and provide ample play opportunities for children. We will discover that most skills children need to develop into functioning and caring adults originate from early play experiences. We hope that you will rediscover the many joyful aspects of play, as well as how children master and cope with difficult emotions through play.
The American Academy of Pediatrics has actually recently recognized the importance of play in children's lives, and actually the importance of having unstructured play opportunities in children's lives. Having some set-aside time for unstructured play opportunities is vital to children's health and well-being.
I think play is life, and kids can recreate their world. They can make fantasy. They can play out things that are actually happening to them and things that aren't, things that they hope do happen or things they hope don't happen. So it's a way for them to express lots of different things and to actually work out problems that they might be having as well.
Play is probably, if not one of the most important things that we can do with children, because play is the child's natural medium of expression. And in playing with children, we think of the toys as being like the child's words, and play is like the child's language. And so what we need to do as adults is learn how to read and understand the child's play language, because that's where their communication lies, not in their words. Words are not known by children in the way that they're known by us. Play is to the child what verbalization is to us as adults.
Play appears to hold tremendous importance for both children and adults. Yet, attempting to define it is very difficult, because while play may be considered simple and natural, it can also be multifaceted and complicated. Let's listen to how others define play, and in doing so, touch upon both the joyful and the serious sides of play.
some people define play as the child's work. And then I thought, well, is play really the work of children? Or, do we say that to kind of give our adult spin on it and some sort of, to give that play purpose? And I thought, well, I don't really know if it's the work of the child. I think play is a fun activity. I think it's a creative activity. It's an expressive activity. It's an emotional activity. It's one where the child can really be free and be open and have the ability to express themselves. And that expression always isn't happiness, Play can also be a way for the children to express uncomfortable feelings, sadness, hurt. But play can also allow the child to gain mastery over those feelings. So if we see a child who's experiencing a painful emotion, we can often see that in the play. And the repetitive play and playing that emotion or that theme out again and again and again to get a handle on it.
Well, I always go back to Froebel, who was, of course, the inventor of kindergarten, and his talking about that play is the child's work. I almost think, though, that play is sort of a kind of a part of a child's life. What our grown-up life is to us, play is that life for the child.
If you sit back and watch children play, you see that they're using so many skills and so many strategies and learning so many things that it can be quite powerful to see children play because it spans through all of those learning domains. They need to know that play is more than just fun, that play is a way which children learn.
With my children, I try to, at the beginning, to get them involved in sports, in Little League or what have you. That kind of backfired. My children are different than me, and I learned that I need to not restrict what I think of as play and just kind of let them do what's enjoyable to them, and then I can join in. And that's been very rewarding.
So to define play, in some ways it seems easy, in some ways it seems very difficult, but I think it's an activity for children to be themselves, to be expressive, to be excited, to test the world, and to really be part of that world.
As children progress through different ages and stages, so does the level and the complexity of their play. Every stage allows for multiple benefits, from infants to toddlers to preschoolers and to older children. Play allows for opportunities of exploration, discovery, creation, and recreation across all ages.
We know that play is important for all aspects of children's health and development and growth. Physically, children need time to play, to run around.
Babies play when they discover their feet. Babies play when they discover that they can make things move. They use their bodies and their senses to explore the world.
My 7-month-old is very much a player. He, right now, his whole world is discovery and figuring out what things are and really beginning to make sense of his world. And I had a really cool experience with him, and I'm sad I didn't have it until my 3rd child, but he will play and be real engaged with me and laughing and smiling, and then he looks away. And he balls up his hands every time, and he looks away. And then he comes back, and he's playing, and he's engaging, and he's laughing, and then he'll ball his hands up and look away. And I've reached the point where I've begun to observe that's how he disengages. He needs a minute to kind of relax and breathe, and, then he can come back and engage and be a part.
Toddlers discover that objects can be used to make something happen. As they grow, They discover that when they drop a spoon, someone will pick it up. They learn to play peekaboo, which later turns into hide and seek.
My 3-year-old is very into fantasy right now, and she, at the end of Sleeping Beauty, I think it is, she dances with the prince. And so sometimes she dances with the 5-year-old, and sometimes she dances with her dad, and sometimes she dances with me. And so it's just fun to see. She doesn't care that, I don't look like the prince, but she wants to dance because I can be her prince if she needs that.
Play evolves for preschoolers as they explore their surroundings. They play out roles they see in the world, including the people around them and the characters they've heard about in books and movies. As their language skills continue to develop, they play out wonderful stories created in their imaginations. The magical world of make-believe becomes expansive for the preschool child.
They are very free in their play, and at that age, they're kind of transitioning from being very concrete and using objects in their play for their physical properties, like blocks. For them, some of them haven't got to the point of being symbolic with them. So you build a tower or you make something and have it represent something else. That's more symbolic. So they're transitioning out of just using it as a block. This is just an object, into it representing something to them, like it's a hammer, or this is a plate, or this is a sausage.
Let's watch these preschoolers play together.
Here's my present. It is beautiful. Let me try it on. It's kind of big. I'll put it like this. How do I look? Good. Thank you.
School-aged children move toward group play. With a great desire to belong, their play becomes the primary ground for practicing cooperation, taking turns, being patient, and conflict resolution. Learning to regulate their emotions and control their behavior are all skills that children develop and practice through their play experiences.
Play just develops and becomes more complex as children get older, and they will begin to play in groups more and have more cooperative play and more elaborate stories that they will weave together. They'll evolve into games which start having rules about who does what, and there are different roles in the play that they can decide who takes on. So I think the complexity is one of those things that increases.
Just as play spans the different ages of childhood, play also moves through its own developmental stages. Children first play alone. Then they play alongside each other. Next, when guided and offered opportunities, children begin to interact more with other children as they play. Eventually, children's play moves to structured team or group activities.
I have 3 grandchildren. One is 7 years old, and he is at a point now where he engages in play with organized rules. He enjoys the board games and is able to adhere to those rules and not have to bend those rules just so that he is successful. He also enjoys playing some of the sports that have some outside rules and enjoys being on a team. Whereas my 4-year-old enjoys play, but he's pretty much a parallel player at this point. He's playing with others, but they're playing next to each other. So the cars and the trucks that they're playing, they're creating their own villages. A lot of great creativity, but there's very little interaction. My 2-year-old granddaughter is quite different. She is very self-absorbed in her own play. Doesn't have to do an awful lot, but she is there with it. So whether or not it's holding and looking at the doll, it's dressing, undressing the doll, those things are just her way of creating her own play. And eventually we'll move that into broader aspects of putting the doll into the baby carriage and walking the baby carriage with the doll in it. Those are the extensions that she has. But the play that the 3 of them have together, very, very limited at this time. Tends to be very center focused on the age that the kid happens to be.
play exists everywhere. That's one thing about it that makes it universal. It pops up everywhere, all cultures, regardless of language or country or borders. And it might look a little bit different depending on what the children are playing with, but there's always creativity, and children will always use certain objects to represent other things. So the creativity is always there, the fun and the joy are always there, and its function, the expressive function and the healing functions. It's funny, you'll see children playing in the dirt with marbles. You know, in Jamaica, where I'm from, I taught for a year, and I would see that, or they're just running around the schoolyard. And then you come here and you see some of the very same things, even if they're using different implements. But children always come together, play with each other, you know, play alone. There's some things about play which never change, regardless of what age or where you are.
Children's play remains a significant part of their lives, regardless of country, language spoken, ethnicity, or resources. While play is universal, the way it looks differs within and across cultures and generations.
Being in Hawaii and working with various ethnicity, whether they're Hawaiians or the Samoan, the play is very different. The play is very down to earth at times because of the socioeconomic background. And what they tend to be playing and most enjoying is the outdoors. Being out, touching, feeling, getting dirty, feeling the wind and the air.
Dress up. I used to like to play dress up. We had a trunk of clothes that I think belonged to one of my great-grandmothers. They were old clothes from like the 30s and 40s, dresses and nightgowns, and they were fun.
Our house was normally the congregating place for all the children in the neighborhood. They would just come over and they would play. There was you know, the families were large, you know. No one had a whole lot of anything, but there was a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of love, and we were all on one accord, you know. Everybody knew that when the lights came on, you had to be inside of your gate. So then we would get creative, and we would throw balls from my gate to your gate.
Some examples for myself growing up was, buttoning on that red towel on the back of my around my neck and jumping off the garage, into the front yard, and luckily not breaking any bones, and wandering through the rural area I grew up in, rolling a tire along the side of the road. Picking up a coconut out of a tree and breaking it open to enjoy the sweet milk that's inside of it. That was unstructured play for me. For my kids, and in today's world, I don't really see that opportunity very often. I don't see that my children had that same opportunity that I did. One of the things is the trust that we have in allowing our kids outside of our sight, out of our safety zone. When I was a kid growing up, my rule was that I was in the house when the sun hit the ocean. We lived on the west side of Oahu, on the main island in the chain. And when the sun hit the water, I was to be in the house. And if I wasn't, there were consequences. But I was really free, and my time was totally unstructured play.
Okay, so I get lucky. I got the diamond, so I can eat and drink.
I need this bowl to get some dessert. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, what kind of dessert?
No, that's the butter. Remember, that's the butter. No, this is the butter right here.
She's got the butter over here. That's for dessert?
That's for dessert.
Okay, well, I'm going to take a little bit of the bread and a little bit of the butter, slap it on it.
We have heard that play serves many purposes. Play advocates know that one of the most powerful ways that parents can build strong connections with their children is to play with them.
In the often hurried life that many parents and children lead these days, it's been recognized that having some set-aside time for unstructured play opportunities is vital.
All right, let's do the Bad Guys Castle. This is the Bad Guys Castle. Okay. The Bad Guys Castle is...
A special one-on-one time to play strengthens the parent-child relationship.
Come on, people! Tell the giant lizard!
During this time, the play is unstructured, and children choose what and how to play.
Giant lizard steps!
Beautiful.
All the people.
And what about you, Evelyn? Are you going to take a bow?
Listen to what Dr. Gary Landreth has found in his research.
If parents and teachers would pull aside, have a 30-minute playtime with the child, and that's not much out of a whole week, one 30-minute playtime, that they would pay this kind of careful attention to the child, it will change the child's life. And we have 35 research studies showing that children's self-esteem improves, that parental stress goes down when they have this 30-minute playtime with children, that children do better in school, they have better social relationships, behavior problems begin to disappear simply because somebody important in the child's life, like the parent, takes the time to spend 30 minutes once a week playing in this special kind of way. And I don't mean playing video games or watching TV together. That's not the kind of playing. I'm talking about getting some dolls and a car and a baby bottle and a piece of rope and some play dishes, things like that, and having a playtime in which the child creates what they would like to create, and the parent follows the child's lead for 30 minutes. When I'm training parents, I say to them, for 30 minutes, you are dumb. You don't have any answers. You don't know any solution to problems. You don't know what's supposed to happen next. You take your lead from the child. The child creates the drama. The child is the director of the drama. You don't know what you're supposed to do until the child tells you what to do.
These special times show the connecting power of play. Parents focus on the person of the child rather than correcting or directing. Parents respond in different ways by letting their child lead the play.
Where do they talk?
Being with your child in this special playtime can be extremely rewarding and helpful for both parents and children.
What we teach parents are the skills that a play therapist would use. So allowing the child to lead, allowing the child to take responsibility for the play, allowing the child to make decisions in the play. That requires the parent to take a different role. It allows the child to direct the parent, but it requires that the parent allow for that direction, which can be tough. And I think typically parents are so used to providing all the structure for children, which is normal. I mean, we have to keep them safe, and we have to keep them going, and we have to make sure their needs are met. But when you let the child lead in play, and as an adult you follow that child's lead, it really does something unique for the relationship. Builds a sense of trust. The adult has the ability to be empathic and accepting and really understand their child in a different way and create an intentionally different relationship.
Do you like it when Mommy and Daddy play with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
They give us good ideas.
Good ideas.
When we go on our adventure hikes, who's the leaders? Who's the leaders of the adventure?
One of us.
Right.
And what do we?
Sometimes they.
Every once in a while, but mostly you and Faye.
So when the parents allow the children to lead the play, it's almost like watching a child take the parent by the hand and lead them into play. And it's a little uncomfortable at first, but when the parents start to get into it and they relax, you see a different side of the parent.
I really feel like our role is just to be the supportive cast. If you need the mean witch, or if you need the prince, or if you need a partner to dance with at the end, then that's kind of where we come in.
If I were president, I would mandate that all parents and all teachers have training in which they learn how to have special 30-minute play times with their children, in which during those 30 minutes they deliver what I refer to as the 4 healing messages in children's lives, that while the child is playing, that we would be fully present with the child, the message being, I'm here, and that we would work hard to understand the child. I'm here, I hear you, I want to hear everything about this child, I want to understand what this child is saying and doing with the toys, and I want to communicate that understanding back to the child. I'm here, I hear you, I understand. And I think if parents can and teachers can deliver those 3 messages, I'm here, I hear you, I understand, the 4th healing message comes along automatically, and that's I care. The child will then know we do care because we took time.
We hope that this video has given you information about making connections with children through play. Your role is important by providing numerous and varied opportunities for expressive play in the lives of children. We asked adults to leave a final message to other parents about the value of play.
I think play is a gift you give your children.
And it doesn't mean that you have to go out and buy them the top-notch things in order to be able to make themselves feel good.
Just being able to accept the fun of play instead of making it like this very determined competition.
To allow your kids to get outside, set them free, keep them safe, but allow them to do things that, that come from inside of them.
It doesn't really matter what age they are, from the very young all the way up to teenage years.
Play is more than just fun. That play is a way which children learn.
A key message that I would give a guy when it comes to play is not to impose themselves too much on what type of play. Really let the child lead the play.
One of the greatest gifts that a new parent can give to their child is just to slow down and realize that probably just that playtime between parent and child is probably one of the greatest, learning tools, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It's just paying attention, to your child.
You will get to know your child when you play with your child.
Let children be children.
Play is as valuable as eating and drinking and taking care of your personal hygiene. It is an essential place where kids can be anything they want to be. They can fight the fears, defeat the demon, they can win in the battle, they can do whatever it is they need to do. And it's an essential piece to their development and to helping them become who they are.